Then he had dozed. A terrible noise startled him awake. The deep-throated roar of a lion caused the women and eunuchs to give shrill yelps and squeals of alarm. The guards had tried to quiet the harem. There was a net, backed by spearmen at the foot of the hillock. They were perfectly safe. Barbad had ignored the commotion around him, concentrated on the hunters. Shapur, bow in hand, had stepped ahead of his kinsman. Tall and straight, arrow nocked, he looked the essence of majesty. Alone and brave, calmly facing the onslaught, this was what it meant to be a king. Prince Papak had been a couple of paces behind, slightly to one side. A slender hunting spear with a crossbar at the base of its long blade was in his hands. Some of the other royal kinsmen had spears, more held bows. None would intervene unless it was absolutely necessary. It was the right of the king to take the first shot. The king of beasts was not the quarry of other men. It was reserved for the king of kings, and Shapur's skill with the bow was legendary. All the attention of the hunters was on the cover. Barbad had followed their gaze. 50 paces beyond Shapur was a wall of reeds. Although there was not a breath of wind up on the low hill, here and there the feathery heads of the reed bed shifted. Barbad found he was on his feet, straining forward like a hound in the slips. The lion roared again. The ascending vibration reverberated in Barbad's chest, had seemed to shake the air, and then the reeds parted. It was a mature male lion, tawny, lithe and young. The feral stench had reached those on the hillock. A eunuch whimpered. The beast looked back at the undergrowth. The beaters must be close. Their shouts and the rattle of spears on shields put up wildfire at no great distance. The lion turned to those who blocked his path. Its blank eyes focused on the man that stood nearest and alone. Shapur half drew his bow. The lion gathered itself, roared a third time. The king of kings pulled the bowstring back to his ear, aimed. For a moment, all was still. The noises of the beaters, the clatter of the wings of the flighting birds seemed far away. Shapur's arm trembled slightly with the strain. The lion launched itself forward. Almost quicker than the eye could follow, Shapur's arrow had thumped into its chest. The beast staggered, but bounded again. The second arrow caught it in the windpipe. This time it crumpled on landing. But this was a fierce lion. A bloody pink froth bubbling from its mouth, it crawled on its belly towards the figure that had caused it such pain. Shapur handed the bow to one of his sons. The king drew his long, straight sword. With graceful steps, he walked to the lion. The beast's lifeblood was fast draining away, its muzzle red with gore. Its roar of defiance was now a choking cough. Straddling the back of the lion, Shapur turned to face his entourage. He flourished his blade, then with the skill of long practice, plunged the steel down between the shoulder blades in the killing blow. "Hail the Mazda-beloved Lord Shapur!" The high-pitched cries of the harem joined the deep shouts of the hunters. As Shapur basked in the applause, Barbad noticed the tips of the reeds moving. "King of kings descended from the gods, famed for his courage!" Against all courtly etiquette, Papak rushed forward towards the king. "May the gods—" The chanting had faltered. Again the reeds parted. This lion was old, slab-shouldered and powerful. A long white scar ran down its flank, from its mane to its haunches. In its eyes was the cunning of a man-eater. Unaware of the threat, Shapur half-turned, affronted, as Papak darted past. With no preliminaries, the man-eater leapt. Its acceleration defied its enormous bulk. At the third bound, it was on Papak. There was no time to take the proper stance, but the prince somehow thrust out his spear. The momentum snapped the shaft, flattened Papak, sent him tumbling like a child. Thrashing and sliding, the lion crashed to the ground almost at the feet of the king. Curling, the lion tore at its own hide with teeth and claws. It ripped jagged wounds in its own flesh as it struggled to get at the white-hot agony embedded in its vitals, at the steel which was robbing it of life. The face of the King of Kings was a mask as he looked down at his brother, bruised and battered in the dirt. Without a word, Shapur had sheathed his sword and stalked away. The hunt was over. The evening was mild. A gentle breeze blew through the tamarisks and trees. The stars were clear in the vault of the heavens. Yet in the pavilion of Prince Papak, the atmosphere had the tense stillness before thunder. Barbad attended as his lord was bathed and his wounds tended. There were 2 gashes and much bruising.